Namaste, you're on The Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narsimhan and we're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 newsroom, ladies and gentlemen. And the big story, let's turn the spotlight towards the United Kingdom, where Rishi Sunak, in the hot contention for becoming Britain's next Prime Minister, up against Liz Truss, has made some startling declarations. What he has done in a debate where Liz Truss was questioning him and his detractors were questioning him on his position and policy vis-a-vis China and Russia, Rishi Sunak has, not just squashed or trashed the kind of allegations made against him, but he's made some very, very startling announcements. Now, this is what he has turned around and said. Rishi Sunak has turned around and said he's not only labelled China as the #1 security threat to the United Kingdom and the world, he has said that he will shut down all the Confucius institutes, nearly 30 of them all across Britain, kick out the Chinese Communist Party from the UK universities. He's also said he will try and employ or bring in the MI5 to counter Chinese espionage, and said that there will be a NATO-style international cooperation to tackle Chinese threats in cyberspace. He said he will look to banning Chinese acquisitions in the key British assets, including strategically sensitive tech firms. The contender for 10 Downing Street, he will enact these policies on day one if he's elected Prime Minister of Britain. And he's also said that he slammed China for muzzling the voices in Xinjiang and in Hong Kong. So Rishi Sunak belligerent against China at a time when a lot of the people among the Tories were saying that both these leaders have gone very soft on Russia and on China. They have not been able to say much on the Russia-Ukraine war, take a position against Russia, nor have they said much against China and the Chinese hegemony and their economic imperialism, which they want to impose across the whole world. Now Rishi Sunak coming in and saying that China trying to embed itself into Britain in its educational institutions, in its universities, thought process, trying to influence from within is something that he will weed out. Sanjay Suri is with us. Pranav Bhanot, columnist and councillor, is also with us at the top of this edition of The Nation at 5 as we start with what is happening in Great Britain at this point in the run-up to the next 1 month when the Tories will decide who will be Britain's next Prime Minister. Sanjay Suri, there was a lot of criticism, and it all stemmed from the fact that as Finance Minister, Rishi Sunak's policies were very, very soft against China. I think we just lost Sanjay's audio there. We'll try and get Sanjay back with us in just a bit. But in the meantime, Pranav Bhanot is with us. Pranav, how would you see? There are a lot of, even the right among the Tories. Ian Smith seems to have backed Liz Truss. But there are other media which claim that you had the Russian foreign minister actually turn around and say Liz Truss did not know Russian territories from Ukraine. And she herself has taken a very, very soft approach against China. Will Rishi Sunak's strong position now, will it actually help him? Because he himself admitted over the weekend that he was a weak candidate.
So Sanjay, that's a very good question. What we're seeing today from Rishi's campaign is a robust stance on China. We haven't seen this yet, so you're absolutely right. The problem with this campaign is that whether it's good or bad, it's being run by the press. Whatever people are getting in terms of information, the majority of it is coming from press outlets. That's how I see the majority of the Conservative membership getting the majority of information. So these strong points are good because essentially it's allowing the candidates to get maximum attention from the press side. So I think these comments are welcome, but whether they're actually going to be implemented, I think is a different question at the moment. These are good to try and draw attention, get traction, but whether they're feasible to implement when one of the prime ministers are selected is yet to be seen.
But is this going to help? Wow. Who do you think is ahead in the race? Is Rishi Sunak now, is this going to bolster his campaign? Has he now pushed Liz Truss to take a strong position against China and also on the Russia-Ukraine war?
Some critics of Rishi Sunak are saying your position on China has come far too late. Conversely, like you said, when Liz Truss went to Russia and spoke with the Russians about foreign policy, she didn't seem to know her facts. So I think it would certainly help the fact that Rishi Sunak is now talking foreign policy. I think it would really help. But, he's coming from a trailing position. I think you and I spoke last week. He was somewhat behind Liz Truss. I still think he is behind Liz Truss. So now his aim is to get as many strong, robust points on policy as possible to try and win over that membership. I'm not sure if it's enough yet, but if he carries on like this, I think he will certainly gain more ground than he's already got.
He's got more than about 35 days to be able to try and make ground, and each day is a win or a loss in terms of how you take a position. Sanjay Suri is also with us. Sanjay, if you can hear me, we'll try and go across to Sanjay Suri in just a bit. But in terms of policy and Rishi Sunak's comments against the Confucius Institutes, against Chinese in embedding themselves into British educational institutions, against Chinese espionage, all of this largely among the British people, beyond just the Conservative Party, how do you think it has been received so far, Pranav?
So far, it has been received as, from the very limited experience, positive. But, China is still a massive country. It's a massive economy. I think you've always got to be careful about how critical you're going to be when you have one of the fastest growing economies in the country. So I think whilst these sweeping policies may help the candidates among their membership within the party and trying to gain traction, I think there has to be caution. There always has to be caution when you have a country that's growing at the rate China is at. We may need to rely on them for various kind of strategic alliances. So I think fine if people are going to make sweeping comments like Rishi Sunak is doing, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt. I think caution has to be adopted because you cannot dismiss the giant that China is and the role it's playing on the world stage.
True. I've got Sanjay Suri also with me on the phone line. Sanjay, at this point, this statement by Rishi Sunak, he needn't have taken a position as detailed as he has, but he's also made a promise that this will be one of the first things that he does on day one of office if he becomes Prime Minister.
Yeah, this is working at two levels for Rishi Sunak. At the first level, of course, this is intended to win over a lot of the Tory right wing that a lot of pundits believe, rightly or wrongly, is favouring Truss more than it is favouring him. And this is the language of China they want to hear. This is the language on China that many in the country want to hear, but nobody's been speaking this language, never mind taking policies in line with it. We've heard a lot of waffling and about this and about that on China. This clearly is a position he would take and implement were he to be elected, but short of that, it is certainly intended and is very likely to win over a considerable extent of support for him. But at the second level, he is also, as a fallback, setting up a standard for Truss to be judged again, were she to be elected, in fact, for a standard for her to fail against, as he is doing with the economy. Truss has really dug herself into a hole on that one. If she borrows that money, that certainly will become inflationary, and we're talking about borrowing £30 billion to fund tax cuts. That certainly would be inflationary. That would get her into trouble. Not acting in China would get her into trouble. So this is a strategy really at two levels.
Well, clearly, so the path is laid out for her in terms of how she responds to Rishi Sunak. But Rishi Sunak now slowly seems to be now fleshing out his policy and his approach for Britain as Prime Minister if he does get the vote of the Conservative Party leadership and members. Pranav Banot and Sanjay Suri, thank you for joining us here on top of this edition of The Nation at 5. Would like to converse with you a little more, but we've got big news coming through from the world of sport where there's trouble in the boxing ring. Ladies and gentlemen, Olympic medal-winning sensation Lovlina Borgohain, talented boxer from Assam, has tweeted not so long ago, and she's put out a very, very humble request. She's saying this with folded hands. This is her note. She's saying, "आज मैं बड़े दुख के साथ कहती हूँ कि मेरे साथ बहुत harassment हो रही है." She is alleging harassment, saying, हर बार मेरे कोचेस जिन्होंने मुझे ओलंपिक्स में मेडल लाने में मदद की, उन्हें बार-बार हटा के मेरी ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस और कंपटीशन में हमेशा harassment करते हैं. She is once again saying that she is not getting to train with the coaches who turned her or helped her win a medal at the Olympic stage. इनमें से एक कोच संध्या गुरुंग जी द्रोणाचार्य अवार्डी भी हैं. मेरे दोनों कोचेस को कैंप में भी ट्रेनिंग के लिए 1000 बार हाथ जोड़ने के बाद बहुत लेट इंक्लूड किया जाता है. आई हैव टू रिपीटेडली बेग एंड प्लीड फॉर गेटिंग माय कोचेस इनटू द कैंप. मुझसे इससे ट्रेनिंग में बहुत परेशानियां उठानी पड़ती हैं और मेंटल हैरेसमेंट तो होती ही है. अभी मेरे कोच संध्या गुरुंग जी कॉमनवेल्थ विलेज के बाहर हैं, उन्हें एंट्री नहीं मिल रही है और मेरा ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस गेम्स के ठीक 8 दिन पहले रुक गया है. 8 days before the Commonwealth Games, my training process has come to a halt, is what Lovlina Borgohain is saying. मेरे दूसरे कोच को भी इंडिया वापस भेज दिया गया है. My other coach has also been sent back to India, is what she is turning around and saying. Lovlina Borgohain very, very upset with what has happened. She is saying, मैंने इतनी रिक्वेस्ट करने के बाद भी ये हुआ है. इससे मुझे बहुत मेंटल हैरेसमेंट हुआ. मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं गेम में कैसे फोकस करूं. इसके चलते मेरा लास्ट वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप भी खराब हुआ. I could not perform well even at the last world championships because of this entire politics around my coaches. और इस पॉलिटिक्स के चलते मैं अपना कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स खराब नहीं करना चाहती हूं. आई डोंट वांट टू स्पॉइल माय कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स आइदर. आशा करती हूं कि मैं मेरे देश के लिए इस पॉलिटिक्स को तोड़कर मेडल ला पाऊं. जय हिंद. Just about half an hour to 40 minutes ago, she has put out this tweet and this appeal where she is turning around and saying, allow me my coaches, allow me those who have helped me train and also win an Olympic medal. Why should this politics be? She has raised this issue of politics. Shivani is now with us. Shivani, clearly comes as a big surprise that she's saying that she faced this even with the World Championships. Yeah.
Yes, you know, Anand, this is a very peculiar issue that Indian athletes face, and as Lovlina Borgohain's case is suggesting, does not happen only with, you know, athletes who are yet to make big. Even athletes who've made it big, several prominent, you know, world medal winning wrestlers, for example, boxers, others, have often complained in the past that the coaches that they want, which are their personal coaches, the coaches they have a history with, are not often allowed. Now, of course, there's a process involved in which the federation is involved, the SAI is involved, the Indian Olympic Association is involved. But there are often these skirmishes that happen, even with our top athletes who are, you know, winning medals, have proved themselves and are big medal hopes, that somehow there's always a skirmish on exactly who will be part of their camp or of the delegation or the, you know, delegation that goes to world events. And this is something that happens repeatedly. I think the Indian Association and SAI and others will have to put their heads together and figure a way out, because when athletes speak out like this and put out an emotional appeal, this has happened in the past, it doesn't look good on the officials.
True. And in this case also, those who are Olympic medals or top scheme athletes, they get a choice of their coach. Yeah. They train with certain coaches who travel with them, and even though the entire entourage is pruned, their coaching staff is already allowed. So in this case, somebody like a Sandhya Gurung who's a Dronacharya awardee, it should not be a case that
you know, there are several athletes who have Dronacharya awardees who have proved themselves. You know, these are awardees who have, you know, built them up when they were very young. They spotted those talents when they were very young. So there is no denying that an athlete always feels more comfortable with a coach or a trainer. For example, there's been many a battle on physical trainers. On just who is their, you know, physiotherapist or a physical trainer. Now, I wouldn't say that every time the athlete is right. Sometimes, you know, there are tantrums being thrown as well. But this is still not something, not an advertisement that the government and the SAI and the, you know, association would want. When they are doing a good job in, you know, helping the athletes train, then why not give them the comfort of having somebody they know? Yes, they have employed their own coaches, staff, etc. as well, but there has to be a middle ground.
Well, in this case, in Lovlina's case, she's not somebody who's a cribber.
Yeah.
You know, it comes as a surprise because she is somebody who's
very modest, very humble.
Yeah, and she's come through fighting all odds, and she's come because she was spotted. She wanted to be an MMA artist, and from there she's become a boxer, and she's gone ahead, and she's got huge potential. The state government, Assam, has said that we'll back you. We'll fund whatever you want. You tell us what you need. The government has said we'll back you. We'll give you whatever you need.
Yeah.
And here in her post, what she's turning around and saying, I'll stand here. What she's turning around and saying is that ye training ka harassment hoti hai, and they're saying that this is not. And I have requested 1000 बार हाथ जोड़ने के बाद बहुत लेट इंक्लूड किया गया is what she is saying even in the camp. In terms of the build up to the this one, and now she is turning around and saying मेरे कोच को कॉमनवेल्थ विलेज के बाहर उन्हें एंट्री नहीं मिल रही है.
Yeah, so this clearly looks like an episode where the coach that she's talking about was not part of the accredited staff, right? That's how you don't get entry into the games village. But why should that be the case in the first place? You know, when you are at that level, Anand, you've interacted with so many world athletes. You do want the comfort of having your own team. Yes, it is not always possible. The association and SAI employs certain coaches, which is for the benefit of all athletes, not just the top athlete. And those, coaches or physiotherapists, etc., trainers, then look after everybody. So sometimes the criticism is that some of the top athletes want their own entourage. Sometimes in these games, it's not always possible. But I think we'll have to wait for an explanation from the Boxing Federation as to what has gone wrong here. This particular issue crops up so many times that it has become a problem.
Yeah, but with your medal hopefuls, there was under the top scheme itself, they had turned around and said that we will provide you what you want.
Yeah, you can pick and choose.
Pick and choose.
But you know, in these cases, when it's a Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, there's a limited entourage that is allowed. So you have to think about the entire boxing contingent and not just one athlete. But even in such cases, for example, Olympics and others, there have been exceptions that have been made. There have been adjustments that have been made to allow certain athletes their preferred coaches.
Yeah, Olympic medalist, somebody who's a sure shot medal chance, and somebody who you are wanting to groom for the next one, which is
doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and the other aspect is that at the end of the day, if she does not do well, it will be blamed on her. None of us, as the viewers, are going to say, oh, she was going through all of this, nobody realizes.
You know, that's why there should be a mechanism where obviously the athlete has a mechanism to, when an assessment is done on your performance. Now, she's a, top athlete. She will have to also explain as to, what went wrong. So I think for athletes, sometimes it becomes a painful exercise where they have to say that, I couldn't do well because this wasn't provided to me. Because sports is so difficult to ascertain as to what went wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
You cannot really go through a bout and say, oh, this must have been the reason. You can't say that. It's very difficult to pinpoint.
And we've seen in the past also that some coaches who worked with athletes know how to push an athlete or how to make an athlete in the crunch moments and what kind of advice to give. And the moment you change somebody who's just come in as a generalist who's looking at everybody, that person may look at your bout and look at your this very, very differently. And it can change. It can be the difference between a comeback or a win into a loss. Vimal Kumar is also with us. Vimal, harassment. Lovlina Borgohain is saying mental harassment ho raha hai. Commonwealth Games 8 days before. Why is this?
आनंद, मेंटल हरासमेंट तो पता नहीं थोड़ा सा ज्यादा हो सकता है स्ट्रॉन्ग, बट यू कैन sympathize with the athlete, and this is not an event in isolation. If you look at the history of Indian sports, especially the Olympic sports, where all these athletes, top prominent athletes, they do complain that because the they don't allow them.
Vimal, just stay with me. I think I have Lovlina Borgohain's father with me on the phone line. नमस्ते, मैं आनंद बोल रहा हूँ. लवलीना ने ट्वीट किया है. सर, मुझे बताएंगे क्या आपकी उससे बात हुई है या हुआ क्या है बर्मिंघम में?
मैंने तो अभी तक कुछ नहीं पता है मुझे, क्योंकि मैंने आज उनका साथ तो कोई ये फोन नहीं हुआ है, बातचीत नहीं हुआ है. एक्चुअली क्या हुआ है ये मैंने तो अभी आप लोग का ये बारे में आप लोग के जो बोला है वो भी मैंने अभी सुना है. अगर हुआ है तो बहुत बुरा हुआ है, क्योंकि तो खेल के टाइम में वो उसको ऐसा होने से उसका मेंटली थोड़ा असर पड़ेगा. मैंने ऐसा सोचा है जी. नहीं,
क्या ये उसने कहा कि वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप जो हुआ था तभी उसको ये दिक्कत हुई थी कि उसके जो कोच हैं, जैसे संध्या गुरुंग जी हैं, उनको उनके साथ ट्रैवल करने नहीं दिया जा रहा है. तो क्या ये पहले भी हो चुका है?
देखिए, मैंने तो इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं पता मुझे. पहले बार मैं, क्योंकि फेडरेशन जो BFI है, मैंने उसके साथ भी ऐसे इसके बारे में तो कोई बात पता नहीं है मुझे, बातचीत भी नहीं हुआ है. अभी मैं कुछ नहीं कह पाऊंगा, क्योंकि क्या हुआ है एक्चुअली ये तो जब मैं लवलीना से बात करूंगा उसका बाद मैं कह पाऊंगा क्या एक्चुअली क्या हुआ है. जी.
तो कल परसों क्या आपकी कभी बात हुई लवलीना से? उसने कुछ कहा था आपको इसके बारे में? वो अभी कैंप के बाद अभी जब गई है?
कल तो बात हुआ था. कल वो बर्मिंघम चले गए तो जाने का टाइम में तो बात हुआ था, लेकिन इसके बारे में तो कुछ नहीं कहा।
तब उसने कुछ ये आपको जिक्र नहीं किया कि वो थोड़ा मेंटली डिस्टर्ब्ड है, उसको कोचेस ठीक से नहीं मिल रहा है,
नहीं,
ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला उसने?
नहीं कहा। वो बोला है हम लोग अभी बर्मिंघम जाएंगे, अभी कल पहुंच जाएंगे, ऐसा ही बोला था। लेकिन ये खेल के बारे में तो कुछ बातचीत नहीं हुआ है।
कुछ बातचीत नहीं। जब आपसे बात किया तब वो ठीक लग रही थी, ठीक साउंड कर रही थी, मूड उसका ठीक लग रही थी?
हाँ जी,
ठीक लग रही थी। और कैंप, जब कैंप के लिए गई थी तब कैंप में भी उसने ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला कि कोचेस नहीं मिल रहे हैं, ट्रेनिंग ठीक से नहीं हो रहा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला उसने?
नहीं। वो तो आयरलैंड में संध्या गुरुंग गया था तो।
हाँ जी, संध्या आयरलैंड गया था। उन्होंने लिखा है कि आयरलैंड भी उसको बहुत ज्यादा रिक्वेस्ट करने के बाद ही संध्या गुरुंग को भेजा। तिकेन जी, ये कहा है लवलीना ने लिखा है, मैं आपको पढ़ के सुना रहा हूँ। उसने इसमें लिखा है कि अभी उन्होंने कहा कि ट्रेनिंग और मुझे ट्रेनिंग में परेशानियां उठानी पड़ी है। संध्या गुरुंग जी को कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स के बाहर उन्हें एंट्री नहीं दिया है और मेरा ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस गेम्स के ठीक 8 दिन पहले रुक गया है, ये उन्होंने लिखा है। उन्होंने कहा कि दोनों कोचेस को कैंप में भी ट्रेनिंग के लिए 1000 बार हाथ जोड़ने के बाद ही बहुत लेट इंक्लूड किया जाता है, तो इससे मुझे ट्रेनिंग में परेशानियां उठानी पड़ती हैं और मेंटल हैरेसमेंट तो होती ही है। ये उन्होंने उनके पोस्ट में लिखा है, जो मैं अभी हमारे व्यूअर्स को भी दिखा रहा हूं। तिकेन जी, आपको क्या लगता है, क्या कुछ इसको सॉल्व करना चाहिए?
जी, हाँ जी, सॉल्व करना चाहिए जरूर, क्योंकि अभी खेल का टाइम हुआ है, अभी कॉमनवेल्थ नजदीक है। जो हुआ है वो तो अच्छा नहीं हुआ है, क्योंकि ये तो एक खेल का, देश का भविष्य है, ये खेल का बात है। क्या हुआ है एक्चुअली, मैंने तो अभी तक तो आप लोग का आप लोग बताया है मुझे, लेकिन मुझे तो कुछ किसी ने नहीं बताया ये क्या एक्चुअली क्या हुआ है।
जी तिकेन जी, मेरा लास्ट आपसे क्वेश्चन यही है कि मैं चाहूंगा कि आप लवलीना से भी बात करें, लेकिन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा, आप चाहेंगे कि गवर्नमेंट इसको जरा जल्दी एड्रेस करे, असम गवर्नमेंट या सेंटर जो भी है?
हाँ जी, जरूर।
आप चाहेंगे कि वो जल्दी से इसको एड्रेस करें? थैंक यू।
मैं चाहूंगा।
Thank you. Tiken Borgohain ji, thank you for speaking with us. And now Priyanka Vadra has also tweeted. Priyanka Vadra has just tweeted saying that Lovlina Borgohain is an asset to our nation. She should be encouraged and supported in every way. I hope the government will look into her complaint and do everything possible to stop the harassment that she is facing. So this is what Priyanka Vadra has now tweeted. Now, there are many who are tagging the sports minister Anurag Thakur. Vimal, it's quite surprising that an athlete is coming out and claiming harassment under this arrangement, current arrangement, where athletes are given top priority, and those especially who are medal hopefuls are given all the access to all the coaches and the facilities that they need under the top scheme, and Lovlina Borgohain is part of that group.
Indeed, Anand, and that's why it's shocking, because if you look at this present government focus is to so much to encourage, the sports person, whatever facilities, best of the facilities, infrastructure they could provide. Obviously, in any world, there will always be, inadequacies, there will be difficulties, and the good thing is especially led by Mr. Anurag Thakur, the sports minister, he's an enthusiastic sports person himself, and always tried us. So when this kind of a story comes out, it is really shocking, and I'm sure when it reaches Anurag Thakur, this issue will be sorted out, because that is the kind of person. I have seen him in BCCI, the way he has taken players issue, be it contract or be it any issue. So he is essentially, since he himself has been a former cricketer, the interest of the athlete is at his heart. You can expect. But Anand, let me tell you one thing. This is not, as I was telling you, this is not an incident in isolation. If you look at some of the top players, this kind of complaint keeps coming. And a federation has to understand, an athlete who has spent his childhood, the formative years with a particular coach, he or she will be most comfortable. I will give you the example of Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is going through a sustained struggle. Everyone is, from Sunil Gavaskar to everyone, offering that you should come over, I will fix your technique. Virat Kohli will not go anywhere. He will go to Rajkumar Sharma. Rajkumar Sharma may not be the high-profile coach, but he knows Virat Kohli in and out. So whenever Virat has problems, he is the mighty Virat. He doesn't need anyone. He can access anyone. He can buy any coach. But he goes to his childhood coach, Rajkumar Sharma. So if Virat can do that, our federation has to understand the comfort level, the psyche. There are so many things. It's just not, Anand, that you go to any coach. Yes, sometimes you, and as an athlete, you are receptive to all kind of ideas, all kind of suggestions. But at the end of the day, if the athlete is if the athlete is having some issue before a big tournament, and if he or she is requesting, the request has to be entertained. It is not a big deal, and it has been happening. We have seen with so many overseas professionals. They carry their own physical trainer, coaches, even in the team environment. I will give you example of a lot of West Indian players. When they are even if like the likes of Bravo or Gale, they had their own physical trainer because they play all around the world. So their duty is not just restricted to their national team. So sports has changed. The requirements have changed. And the federations have to realize they can't be, treating the athletes the same way they used to do it. There has to be a better understanding of athletes, their requirements. And I think it can be done, Anand. With someone like Anurag Thakur there, I think this can be easily tackled.
Right. Right. We'll see if the government responds to this, but this is not something that cannot be sorted. Sandhya Gurung is right outside the Commonwealth Games village camp. Now, if she's outside the Commonwealth Games village camp and that one of her coaches has been sent back, as she is claiming, clearly the government is aware that there is a problem. Vimal, clearly the authorities in the Sports Authority of India, they will be aware that there is an issue.
Yes, you are right. Maybe, Anand, because if you look at we just have got one side of the story. We have got a Lovlina Borgohain story. She's claiming, and most of the time we trust the athlete. Our default setting is that rather than trusting the federation or the official, our default setting is to trust the words of the athlete, because these are the athletes who bring the glory. That not to suggest that all the time they are 100% accurate. Sometimes they also do it because they are human beings like us. They also do exaggerate. Sometimes they have different kind of interests. So if ministry looks into it, Anurag Thakur just ask somebody inside if this is indeed a genuine case. I'm sure because I don't think Lovlina Borgohain can take such a big risk. Just to mislead people.
Right. We'll see if the government responds, and we'll see how Lovlina Borgohain's concerns are addressed, because she is a medal-winning athlete, a very, very talented boxer, and we don't want the nation's top athletes to feel mentally harassed as we are counting down to Birmingham 2022 as far as the Commonwealth Games are concerned. But at this point, we are shifting focus from this big development on the Nation at 5 to yet another big development. We've asked the question, is the party distancing itself from Partha? That is Partha Chatterjee, and now the Trinamool Congress chief herself has come out and said and indicated to the fact that the party and she have got nothing to do with this person, and she says, let there be a time-bound investigation, and if proven guilty, give him life imprisonment, is what she's saying. Listen in. Kamalika now joining us with more details. Kamalika, so Mamata Banerjee, what did she say?
She clearly said that she wants a time-bound investigation. And if in any investigation, any proof is found, or if anybody is found guilty, then she will not spare, and then she is okay if even lifelong imprisonment is given. But why her name is used? She does not know anything. There was no complaint on things. Why her name is used? Even if, there was this video which was circulated by BJP, where it was seen that she was there in the stage with the lady in a puja inauguration. Regarding that, to Mamata said that I go to puja, if organizers call somebody in the stage, how will I know who is what? She is trying, as she is absolutely saying that she is nowhere in her party, or she is nowhere involved in this thing. But at the same time, she is saying that 21st July was Martyrs' Day, and the agency chose the 22nd July morning. Is this not a conspiracy? She is saying it from behind, but in the front, she is saying that's what her party stand is, that Trinamool Congress or Mamata Banerjee has no relation, and she has also referred that for the last 11 years, she does not...
Right, Kamalika, just stay with me. I've got Mr. Dilip Ghosh with us on the phone line. Dilip ji, namaste. Mamata Banerjee कहती है, time-bound investigation करो, guilty है तो life imprisonment, उम्र कैद दे दो, लेकिन मुझे इससे क्यों जोड़ रहे हो? मेरा इससे क्या लेना देना? पार्टी का इससे क्या लेना देना?
देखिए, उनके पार्टी के सबसे प्रोमिनेंट लीडर है पार्थ बाबू. जब से पार्टी बनी साथ रहे उनका, सबसे प्रोमिनेंट डिपार्टमेंट उनके एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट था, ये जो स्कैम हुआ उसके बाद उनका डिपार्टमेंट चेंज किया, इस बार इंडस्ट्री में दिया है, सब मालूम है उनको। और इतनी बड़ी घोटाला हो रही है, पूरा वेस्ट बंगाल के लोग जानते हैं, हजारों लोगों से पैसा लिया गया है, और वो आज बोलते कुछ नहीं जानते हैं। और काल परसों तक बोल रहे थे सीबीआई ईडी को धमकी दे रहे थे, हम देखेंगे, छोड़ेंगे नहीं, दिल्ली तक घेराव करेंगे। आज बोलते हैं टाइम बाउंड इंक्वायरी करो, आज तक तो इंक्वायरी से बच रहे थे, आज क्यों बोले टाइम बाउंड करो? तो इधर भी है उधर भी है, ऐसा नहीं है। बहुत सारा डॉक्यूमेंट हाथ आया है, 20-20 मोबाइल फोन हाथ लगा है, पेपर्स लगा है। मुझे लगता है ईडी जिस प्रकार से काम शुरू किया है वो लोग ठीक ठाक काम करेंगे और वो बहुत सारा कुछ उजागर होने वाला है।
पर इसमें तृणमूल कांग्रेस, उस दिन कुणाल घोष भी यही कह रहे थे दिलीप जी, कि वो कह रहे थे कि पार्था चैटर्जी और उनके किसी एड का कनेक्शन है। इसमें तृणमूल कांग्रेस कहां से आया और ममता बनर्जी कहां से आई? बीजेपी क्यों ये आरोप लगा रही है?
नहीं, पहले तो देखिए, पिछले जो 3 दिन पहले उनका रैली हुई उसमें ममता बनर्जी बोल रही थी हमको फंसाया जा रहा है, हम सीबीआई ईडी से डरते नहीं है, हम दिल्ली तक घेराव करेंगे, ये प्रतिहिंसा है। दूसरे दिन उनकी मंत्री बोलते हैं हम देख लेंगे सीबीआई को और ईडी को, जो हमारे कार्यकर्ता का कोई नुकसान होता है तो। और आज वहां से बचना चाह रहे हैं कि पैसा से कोई मतलब नहीं, महिला से कोई मतलब नहीं है। पार्थ चैटर्जी उनका पार्टी का जनरल सेक्रेटरी है, सेक्रेटरी जनरल बोलते हैं वो लोग, और मिनिस्टर है। उनके साथ जुड़े हुए इतने लोग, 2-2 महिला, 3-3 महिलाओं के साथ, और इतनी सारा प्रॉपर्टी मिल रही है, रुपया मिल रहा है, और पार्टी कुछ नहीं जानता है, पैसा कहाँ से आया? ठीक है, पूछताछ में सब निकलेगा।
दिलीप जी, आप मेरे साथ फोन पे बने रहिए। आई हैव मिस्टर बिश्वजीत देब also with us. नमस्ते बिश्वजीत देब जी। Now the BJP is saying, how can Mamata Banerjee distance herself? Mr. Partha Chatterjee is integral to the Trinamool Congress. He's one of the founding members.
Ajay, can Mr. Ghosh say that when there was a scam in Karnataka by the BJP leader and the school owner Dibba Hegragi, in which she took 25 lakh from each candidate in the police sub-inspector recruitment, was the top leaders of BJP also involved? Can the party deny that? Are we saying that the top leaders of the BJP were also involved? Can you say when the Japan scam was there in Madhya Pradesh, the top national leaders of the BJP were involved? When the Modi gate scam, when Lalit Modi in 2010 in the league, if you can remember, when he swindled huge amount of cash, was the top leader of the BJP involved? So don't try to, I would request Mr. Ghosh, try to understand the perspective in which Mamata Banerjee has said that if somebody is responsible for anything, if somebody is responsible and found guilty by a court of law, then let him be punished. Law will take its own course. But why drag the name of the Honorable Chief Minister, who has got nothing to do with it?
Let Mr. Dilip Ghosh respond.
And there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong in what she has said.
Dilip Ghosh, how do you want to respond to Mr. Biswajit Deb?
अरे भाई, ललित मोदी कहाँ से आ गया बीजेपी में? अब 2010 साल में हुआ, उनके साथ हमारा क्या मतलब है? आपके डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रेसिडेंट, उनके बॉडीगार्ड की 150 करोड़ का प्रॉपर्टी मिलता है। आपके बड़े बड़े नेता अलग अलग स्कैम में इंक्वायरी में हैं, जेल जाके आए हैं। आपके पार्टी के एक मंत्री मदन मित्र को आप लोगों ने 1.5 साल जेल में रखा, आपकी सरकार रखा था, वो रिजाइन नहीं किया। अभी आपका स्पोक्समैन है, जनरल सेक्रेटरी कुणाल घोष को आपने 1 साल 2 साल जेल में रखा, आपकी सरकार ने रखा था। सारे सीनियर लीडर अगर पार्टी का इन्वॉल्व हैं तो पार्टी बाहर कैसे है? ठीक है, ये सारा जो कागजात मिला है इसकी इंक्वायरी होगी, हम भी इंतजार कर रहे हैं। कल तक आप डिनाई कर रहे थे, सीबीआई का बोल रहे हैं प्रतिहिंसा है, हमारे विरोध में लगाया जा रहा है, आज बोल रहे हैं इंक्वायरी जल्दी करो, तो डबल स्टैंडर्ड नहीं हो रहा है। हम भी इंतजार कर रहे हैं, हम किसी को दोषी नहीं बोल रहे हैं। इसमें बहुत बड़ा एक कॉन्स्पिरेसी है, और 10 साल से 11 साल से जितना यहाँ रिक्रूटमेंट हुआ है सब जगह पैसा लिया गया है, और हजारों लोगों से लिया गया। पब्लिक बोल रही है, हम भी इंतजार कर रहे हैं, सारे जो डॉक्यूमेंट आया है और कौन कौन इन्वॉल्व है सब सामने आएगा।
Biswajit Deb ji, final counter.
Mr. Ghosh has forgotten the way the DHFL housing scam, housing finance corporation scam, which took place, in which more than 34,000 crore was siphoned away from the bank. He has forgotten in which the BJP was involved. He has forgotten the empty land corruption. He has forgotten the corruption in which Assam CM Hemant Biswa Sharma had done something during the COVID-19, where he was accused of purchasing several COVID items which were substandard. Everybody knows that. How can BJP distance themselves from the corruption which their leaders had been doing since the last 8 years? Where is the answer to that? So every time they will point out fingers to Trinamool Congress that everybody is thief. This is not fair. You prove it. You prove it before a court of law, and the law will take its own course. Just mere allegation will not do. And we are repeatedly saying, please finish it within a time-bound schedule. Finish the investigation within a time-bound schedule, and give charge sheet if there is any evidence. If there is no evidence, then please keep quiet. And if there is an evidence, file the charge sheet. Let him face the trial. And if he is found guilty, law will take its own course, and we will not spare him.
Right. Dilip Ghoshji and Bishwajit Devji, thank you very, very much. Thank you for speaking with us here on The Nation at 5. Mamata Banerjee has said money has been recovered from the house of some lady. Let the truth come out in a time-bound manner. If the truth is established, then I wouldn't mind if life imprisonment is awarded to those who are guilty. Now, Sudeep Rao at the All India Trinamool Congress has also said that this is what she has said. The AITC official or Trinamool Congress was not created by indulging thieves and robbers. We don't want rich, we want the wise. This is what is the reaction that has come in from the Trinamool. So at this point, very clearly, Mamata Banerjee is saying that if somebody is guilty, prove the guilt. And if they are guilty, punish them. Don't bring us in, don't drag us in. The party clearly distancing itself from Partha Chatterjee. Short break. Stay with us.